Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, blessed Good Friday to you. Well, yesterday we had Reds opening day, and I want to make a few comments about it. I watched the game and listened to the game because it was opening day, and I found it kind of hysterical that they started off 6-0. Of course, they lost 11-6. I guess one of the bright spots were they did score 6 runs, and Johnny India, the new second baseman, played very well. I will probably not watch, listen to, or go to another Reds game. I watched in disbelief at the spacing inside the stadium. Did you see it? I mean, I thought it was supposed to be just 3 foot now. It looked like there was 2 people in each section of the stadium. And of course, the weather did not cooperate with all the activities. And how much can the Reds organization milk from the Big Red Machine? They do it on and on. I grew up with the Big Red Machine. I love the Big Red Machine. I'm getting tired of the Big Red Machine. Even rest in peace, Joe Morgan. The Texas Rangers. Joe Biden was upset that the Texas Rangers opened at full capacity. Thought it was great irresponsibility. Do you know the first thing that comes to mind when I hear the Texas Rangers are open to full capacity? What does that say? Not about them. What does it say about Governor DeWine and the Castellinis and the ownership of the Cincinnati Reds playing along with their game? Just tells you. Cincinnati is one of the most parochial places you will ever live and be. The business community in Cincinnati, the media in Cincinnati, are all in the political system are all interwoven like no other community. It's all consolidated. All the power is consolidated. And it's sick. Delta. Georgia's not taking it. Good for Georgia. The Georgia House voted to take away from Delta a $35 million tax credit. They want to bash their state. You know, how about that, Delta? I can't believe that these large, just imagine this. If Delta and these large corporations like Coke, when are they going to stand up to all the baloney? Stand up to the media. Stand up to them instead of kowtow to them. Nothing's going to change as long as we live in this world like they do it. It's incredible, but good for Georgia for fighting back. The filibuster. Boy. Old Clyburn's going after Manchin because Manchin, you know, the moderate, was trying to figure out a way they could compromise. Clyburn doesn't want anything to do with it. And you know what? It looks like there's going to be a little internal war. Let's hope Manchin stands strong. We can only hope. And let's face it, the hypocrisy about the filibuster. Who didn't want to change the filibuster? The Democrats. Who uses the filibuster more than anybody? The Democrats. The numbers are there. The facts are there. Hypocrites. Of course, they don't mind being hypocrites. How sad is it that the complete news media apparatus no longer reports facts? They are a propaganda machine for one political side. And the fact that we have third-party fact checkers, who the hell are they? Who chooses them? Just imagine the power we're giving some little Nimrod liberal who sits in an office somewhere, quote-unquote, fact-checking for Facebook or Twitter or the media or whoever. I'm not kidding you. I was sitting in my office last night working and thinking, wow, what a country. I never thought we'd live in this kind of country ever. Ever. Where's it going to end if it does even end? Where are we headed? Are we headed for communism? Are we headed for socialism? Here's how bad it is, and I'm being serious. These people who run our government are so weak that if China invaded the West Coast or the East Coast, or actually invaded Alaska or tested our metal, I wonder what our government would do. I bet you they'd capitulate. I bet you they'd let it happen. I do. I really do. That's one of my many concerns. Lara Trump has a great point. You know, she does an interview with Donald Trump, and it gets edited. It gets censored. It gets knocked off social media platforms. They don't want Trump's voice or image. How scary is that? What did Trump do that deserves that compared to what all these other people who still have all their privileges? That doesn't scare the hell out of you? It ought to scare the hell out of you. It scares the hell out of me. I'm just Eric Deters the Bulldog. He's Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States and billionaire. They do that to him. What will they do to us? Why do we keep taking it? Why do we keep taking it? I don't take it. Why do you keep taking it? Why do others keep taking it? It's gonna get worse so long as everybody allows it to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a Chinese expert that says Beijing and old China is trying to increase the time frame for China to take over the U.S. dollar as the currency. Can you imagine that? If China's currency becomes the global currency like the U.S. dollar is? What impact does that have on us? You think Biden's going to push back on that? You really think he will? I don't think so. Isn't it amazing the complete jailbreak since January 20th on everything that Trump did, foreign and domestic, to protect us? It just goes right out the window. It looks like the policy of Joe Biden and his administration is this. If Trump did it, we're against it. If Trump liked it, we hate it. If Trump hated it, we liked it. They don't even give any rational thought to it. It's like, well, we got to get rid of that. Of course, none of anything that this administration is doing has anything to do with rational thought. Jill Biden, this is kind of a funny one. Jill Biden tried to speak Spanish and failed, flubbed it all up. And she's standing, as depicted in the picture we're showing you, she's standing in front of a flag that looks awful familiar to a Nazi flag. Not the swastika Nazi flag, but the other flag that they used. Kind of funny. There's old Jill Biden speaking Spanish in front of a Nazi flag. Good old Dr. Biden. That's another thing we weren't allowed to criticize. She's not a real doctor. She's Dr. Biden. Got to call her Dr. Biden. Brown University students. Brown University students, remember, Brown is in Rhode Island. It's where JFK Jr. went. Part of the Ivy League group. Brown University students voted overwhelmingly, boy, that's a shocker, to award reparations to anybody from their school that had some type of a racial background that deserved reparations. I still crack up how nobody in the news media wants to cover the fact that how are we deciding reparations? For example, why should anybody whose family is descended from a Yankee soldier, Union soldier from the Civil War, or produced goods or farm goods who were in the North fighting the Confederacy have to pay reparations? Explain that to me. Hey, and what about this? The nation of Jones from Mississippi, the county that formed the nation, why should their descendants pay reparations? Why don't we go back and see who the plantation owners are that own the slaves, and let's just say, okay, you guys pay reparations. But then let's find out all those people that enslaved others. Do you know, if you go back in history, Romans, Greeks, everybody else, there was enslavement of every kind of people, including the white race. The Romans enslaved Germans, Franks, barbarians. I mean, it's not been based upon the black race at all. Who's going to pay reparations for them? Just asking. Voters' Right Act, House Bill number 1. The Democrats seem to be fighting amongst themselves enough to maybe, even though it's unconstitutional, that it'll go nowhere. And let's face it, more and more states are passing these laws, like Texas. Texas passed a law like Georgia, and guess what? All these companies, they start criticizing it, blah, blah, blah. By the way, for Joe Biden to stand there and say, do you believe they won't let you give somebody water who's standing in line? No. You can get water standing in line. They just don't want, like, Black Lives Matter groups to stand there and give people like third parties. That's all it is. The mischaracterization and misrepresentation that comes out from the left, supported by the media, knows no bounds. Then last but not least, they continue. They came out with a statement, the Secretary of Defense, the press spokesperson, about transgender in the military. Another decree of Trump that they're reversing. Do you believe it? Right now, the whole entire focus of our military leaders is diversity, transgenders fighting, women having to keep their ponytails, on and on and on, not being the biggest, baddest military force in the world as China continues to close the gap. Can't make it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, enjoy this Good Friday, eat lots of fish, and tune in tomorrow for the Bulldog Show. Remember, every dog has their day. I hope today is yours.